On the air and streaming on the web since 1996, this is the Cinematic Sound Radio Network.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's episode of the flagship show on the Cinematic Sound Radio Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Woods, and today we're presenting a very special show. This is a show programmed by one of our Patreon members, and it has taken a long time for me to get to this show. But we are here, we finally got to it, and we are going to hopefully bulldoze through all of the remaining Patreon episodes that are long overdue. Now, if you are interested in joining the Cinematic Sound Radio Patreon, then please head over to patreon.com/Cinematic Sound Radio. We'd love for you to join the community. Now, for those that are signed up in the conductor tier, which is currently sold out, they get the opportunity to program their very own 1 hour-ish show. They pick all the tracks and I play them. Today, Eldaly Morningstar is up to the plate, and I think you're going to enjoy today's playlist. So, let's begin now. What a better way than to open with the opening of a game series I fell in love with, Kingdom Hearts. Now, I was already a Final Fantasy fan, and I liked Disney a lot. So when Squaresoft, now Square Enix, came out with a mixture of Final Fantasy Disney and music composed by Urara Hikaru, it was a day one must-have for me. PlayStation 2 made it possible to add tracks to a DVD, pushing the possibility of game music to a higher limit. I remember that when I started playing the game, I was, for the first time, in heaven. And this lasted for more than 100 hours of gameplay, finishing the game at 100%. Now, who am I? I'm Eldaly, living in Belgium. I grew up with computers and gaming. I started with a ZX81 and currently on a PS5. In between, I've played on the Philips VideoPack G7000, Philips P2000, Philips MSX1 and 2, and all the PlayStation generations. For handhelds, I've had a PSP, Nintendo GBA, and DS. It's been a whole journey. When I was young, I thought gaming would end in my 20s. But then my 20s became 30s, 40s, and now I'm in my 50s. I'm sure I'll still play games in my 70s. Another game I loved was a game changer, way ahead of its time. Hideo Kojima made the game Metal Gear, Son of Liberty, or better said, he made a movie game combination. He, together with composer Harry Gregson Williams, don't confuse him with the other Williams, made a game really pushing every single bit out of the PlayStation 2. It's another game I fully completed and even replayed to re-enjoy the game. How could you not love a game if you're greeted with a prologue of a man walking over the George Washington Bridge, and when you're playing for about an hour, the game actually starts with a soundtrack which lets you realize it only starts now. Years later, I stumbled upon Cinematic Sound Radio when I was looking for podcasts with game music, and I stayed. I've listened to almost all the CSR podcasts. I was happy when the Patreon started and was able to support the great work Eric does. What I really like is how Japanese composers dare to add electronic guitar to the orchestra. It's a combination unheard by non-Asian composers. A male friend of mine who died suddenly last year, also a game music lover, loaned me a game that was rated as mediocre. But like in movies, some games can be mediocre, but the music makes the game so much better. Yasunori Mitsuda did that with Xenosaga 1. The intro movie started with this track. I remember that when I saw my friend playing it, that next day I was in Brussels and got to the Japanese anime store to buy the original soundtrack recording. Now, if you play music from Xenosaga Episode 1, you for sure have to also play music from Xenosaga 2. And there's a new composer, an orchestral composer, who was brought in, Yuki Kajiura, and oh my, what a composer she is. If you don't know her, surely look up some of her concerts. I could fill a whole episode with her music. Maybe next time. Because I was not able to choose, I selected 2 tracks from the game. The first one, the opening theme, really puts you into the game, and the second one is Communication Breakdown, which is a powerhouse.
No.
Talking about powerhouse, when I was young, I always wanted to become an F-16 pilot. When my time was due, I applied for the Air Force, only to find out that my one eye was negative 0.5, so I would never fly an F-16, and I never joined the Army, as was not mandatory for me. Instead, I went to study computer science. But then one day, my dream still came true. Not in real life, though, but Ace Combat brought flying in an F-16 and many other fighter planes to the console. So many hours I have flown, and have shown that I was a worthy pilot the Army might have regretted if they had not saw my performance. At least, that's what I believed at the time. I played many Ace Combat games, and actually requested one of the tracks in past Patreon track selection shows. As with Xenosaga, there are several tracks I like. But the track I've selected is, I think, a masterpiece. So this one was a gamble to put in the playlist. The composer, Testukazu Nakanishi, is, since the Olympics in Tokyo, an Olympic composer, where the composition First Flight from the same game was played, and he didn't even know it was going to be played. Hold tight for The Unsung War from Ace Combat 5. So we're halfway through the show, and I'm going to leave the PlayStation 2 behind me. As I said earlier, I fell in love with Kingdom Hearts. Now, for the Nintendo DS, there was this game, Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days. Again, with a masterpiece of a soundtrack. I'll let you hear 2 compositions in a row from the album Memoria, the very best of Yoko Shimomura. I was a late bloomer with the PlayStation 3. The PlayStation 3 itself had a rocky start. It was very expensive, and there were no system seller games for me. But on the other hand, I was in a difficult part of my life with a divorce, bank crisis, and losing my job for a long time because of it. But I got through, as a fighter I've always been. The first present I gave myself, when I was able to afford it, was a PlayStation 3. One of the first big games I played on it was Prince of Persia, but the first game where the music gave me goosebumps was Tomb Raider Underworld. Actually, it was the first Tomb Raider game that I didn't stop playing after 30 minutes. The first Tomb Raider I finished to the end. But then the music pushed me to keep on playing. What do you expect if you ask Colin O'Malley to write the music for a game? Here is the main theme from Tomb Raider Underworld by Colin O'Malley. Another game I really enjoyed the music of was Ni no Kuni by Joe Hisaishi. One day, I have to finish the game. One day. Not sure why I stopped about halfway through. Probably because it got snowed under by other games that I picked up. One day I'll jump into the Demon of the Dark Djinn again. One day. Sometimes games are not just fun, but have a documentary purpose. There are several war documentary games. You have 1111 Memories, This War of Mine, and The War to End All Wars. But don't let us forget Valiant Hearts, The Great War. This tells the story of World War II in a funny though serious way, with the music pulling at your emotions. If you've never played it, give it a try. It's not that hard. Maybe the composition War will put you over the line. That was Valiant Hearts, The Great War, composed by Peter McConnell and Daniel Teper. The next one is from an underrated game that not many remember, only those that played it. It has been on the show this year after I selected the song. The game is ironically called Remember Me, and I do, especially because of the soundtrack. I have never heard anything like it afterwards. The music was composed by Olivier Deriviere and was played by the London Philharmonic Orchestra. One warning, there's nothing wrong with Eric's equipment. The distortions are part of the composition and make it stand out. Quantic Dreams has made storytelling part of their blood. The first game I played was Heavy Rain. Oh my, how far do you go as a father? The next game was Beyond Two Souls, another masterpiece. Their latest game, Detroit, Become Human, really makes you think about androids in the near future and what having a soul means. The game is full of beautiful music. Sometimes I wonder if the game is story-driven or music-driven. Here's one of the great tracks, Your Choice by Nima Fakhrara, an Iranian film and game music composer. Thomas Was Alone was a great emotional game with just blocks. Different, but a story game that gave me tears. When I read that composer David Housden, who also composed the music for that game, was on a new project, I was already interested, and he didn't disappoint me. The music of the game Lost Words carried the story along, and again, it left me with tears. Listen, and you already feel why. This is A Writer Writes by David Housden. Back in February 2023, I jumped into a new world of gaming, PlayStation VR 2. I can tell you, for someone who has never played VR, this is impressive. The first game I started was Horizon Call of the Mountain, which pushed me right into VR. I'm now hooked to VR. And how great is it to look over the snowy mountains while climbing mountains and buildings while the music elevates the experience. I love the experience and I want more of it. Close your eyes and imagine yourself in the snowy mountains climbing over a big gap with only the cord you're holding keeping you from falling. But oh God, the view. Here's Arias' theme by Alistair Kerley. I want to finish the list with music of a game that suits the end of a list of songs. It's almost the last song of the game from Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, and it's called I Am Not Afraid. But you should ask Eric how many times I asked if some of the tracks were suitable for the podcast, being afraid it was too much and crossing the lines. He kept saying, yes, it's okay. And believe me, I kept it moderate because I love orchestral music together with modern instruments like electric guitar and orchestra and chorus combined. By the way, just a quick personal note, I have no problem with any type of music being requested on this show. You want to hear something, and if it is out in left field, I don't care. You've joined the Patreon, and you've earned that right to hear that track. Okay, back to the script. So thank you, Eric, for all the shows that you and your team make. It makes me smile every time one shows up in my new episodes. It's like a candy given to a kid. It was a thrilling adventure to explore my mind with music and games that made a difference for me, carrying me through difficult times and the cherished good times. Look, life isn't easy, and it gives and takes. Enjoy the beautiful moments that life gives, that brings you strength for the days ahead. Dare to be yourself and not how others want you to be. This all makes me feel like the 23-year-old girl I feel I am, and not the, thinking, well, yeah, you can calculate a bit if you know which computer I started at when I was a tween. But Everybody's Gone to the Rapture game and music did catch me from the beginning, and the game ended with, again, some tears. Some games just have beautiful endings. This is composer Jessica Curry, who did a very great job at carrying the story of the game. This is I'm Not Afraid. Thank you for listening to the Cinematic Sound Radio Podcast. I want to thank Tim Burton for providing his voice for all the bumpers you hear throughout the program, and to David Coscina for providing Cinematic Sound Radio's theme music. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please email us at cinematicsound@yahoo.com. You can find us on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And wherever you're listening to us today, please take a moment right now to leave us a rating and a review of the podcast. You can get a Cinematic Sound Radio t-shirt at our TeePublic store. You can join our Patreon at patreon.com/cinematicsoundradio. And don't forget to check us out on the web at cinematicsound.net.